The funeral hadn't ended when they started moving his things. His brother took the TV, his mother took the jewelry box, the one with my wedding ring inside. I was standing right there, invisible, like I'd never existed in this family at all. I had 3 kids, a rent notice, and exactly 9 days before we'd be on the street. No one called, no one came. The people who ate at my table for 8 years just disappeared. I cried once in the shower so my kids wouldn't hear. And then I found a letter he'd hidden from me for years. And everything I thought I knew collapsed.
The letter was tucked behind a loose panel in the closet, just sitting there. A white envelope with my name on it, written in his handwriting. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely open it. It wasn't a love letter. It was a debt notice. Final warning. Our home, the one I thought we owned, had a second mortgage on it. He'd taken it out 3 years ago. Never told me. The number at the bottom had so many zeros I read it twice. Then I sat down on the closet floor and I didn't move for a long time. 9 days became 6, then 4.
I had to tell the kids something. My oldest, Maya, she was 12, old enough to feel when something is wrong, but too young to carry it. She found me at the kitchen table at midnight, staring at a pile of bills. She sat down next to me and didn't say anything. Then she reached over and put her hand on mine. I almost fell apart right there. But I didn't. Because Jalen was 8 and Amara was 5, and if I fell apart, the whole thing fell apart. So I breathed. I folded the bills. I said, "Go back to bed, baby." And she did. The fridge had half a carton of eggs, some butter, and a block of cheese that was starting to turn. I had $61 in my checking account. My phone had 11 missed calls, none of them from family, all from numbers I didn't recognize. Creditors, probably. I let them go to voicemail. I called his mother the next morning. I don't know what I expected. Some part of me still believed that grief makes people decent, that loss levels things, that she'd look at her 3 grandchildren and feel something. She picked up on the second ring. I told her about the mortgage, about the letter, about the 4 days we had left. I kept my voice calm. I was so careful. I wasn't asking for much, just somewhere to stay, a couch, anything. There was a long pause. Then she said, "That's not really our problem anymore, is it?" And she hung up. I put the phone face down on the counter. I stood there for a while, looking out the kitchen window at the backyard where the kids used to play. The tire swing he'd hung 2 summers ago was still moving a little in the wind, just barely. Back and forth, back and forth. I applied for emergency housing assistance that same afternoon. The woman on the phone was kind but tired. She told me the wait list was long. She said she was sorry. I said thank you and hung up and went to pick up Amara from daycare like it was any other day. His friends stopped texting after the funeral. The neighbors who brought casseroles that first week, they went quiet too. One of them saw me at the grocery store and walked down a different aisle. I noticed everything those days. When you're drowning, you count every hand that doesn't reach for you.
I sold his watch to a pawn shop on a Tuesday. Got enough to cover one more week of rent. The guy behind the counter asked if I was sure. I said yes. He slid the cash across the glass, and I put it in my wallet and walked out into the parking lot and sat in my car for 10 minutes before I could drive. The job I had, part-time at a dental office, 2 days a week, wasn't enough. I knew that. But I hadn't worked full-time in years. I'd been home, raising them, building something I thought was ours. I started applying for full-time work that same week. Sent out 14 applications in 5 days. Got 2 responses. One ghosted me after the first email. The other scheduled an interview and then canceled the morning of. No explanation. Just a short email that said the position had been filled. I sat with that email open on my phone for a long time. And then something small happened. Not a miracle, not a sign, just a thing. Amara's daycare teacher, Miss Renee, this quiet woman who always smelled like lavender, stopped me at pickup. She said she'd heard I was going through something hard. She didn't ask questions. She just said her sister ran a cleaning company and needed reliable people. She said she could put in a word if I wanted. I almost said no. I don't know why. Pride, maybe, or just exhaustion. But I looked at Amara skipping ahead of me toward the car, her backpack bouncing, completely unaware of how close everything was to the edge. And I said yes. That yes was the hardest thing I said that whole year. The first job was a medical office downtown. Early morning. I was there at 5:45 a.m., mop in hand, wearing a uniform that was slightly too big for me. It smelled like bleach and coffee. I cleaned bathrooms, I wiped down waiting room chairs, I vacuumed hallways that no one would notice until they were dirty again. I was exhausted, but I was working. The pay wasn't much, but it was consistent. 2 weeks in, I picked up a second shift at a hotel on weekends. Maya watched the little ones those mornings. She didn't complain once. That girl. She just stepped up like she'd been waiting her whole life to be needed. Slowly, things began to move. I found a 2-bedroom apartment in a quieter part of the city. Smaller than what we had. The carpet was old and the kitchen had only 2 burners. But the heat worked. The locks worked. It was ours. I signed the lease on a Thursday afternoon and cried in the parking lot on the way to my car. Not sad crying, just release. Like something I'd been clenching for months finally let go. The kids handled it better than I expected. Jalen said his new room was smaller, but that was okay because it felt safer. I didn't ask him what he meant. I think I already knew. I kept working. I got a small raise after 3 months. I started taking an online bookkeeping course at night, 45 minutes after the kids were in bed. Laptop on the kitchen table, half a cup of cold coffee next to me. It took me 7 months to finish what was supposed to be a 4-month course. But I finished it. I found a full-time administrative job at a small logistics company in the spring. It had benefits, paid time off, a desk that was mine. I wore the one blazer I'd kept through everything. The dark gray one. And I shook the manager's hand and I didn't let my voice shake. I got the job.
Amara's 5th birthday was 2 weeks after we moved into the apartment. I didn't have much. I made a cake from a box mix, the kind with the little rainbow sprinkles already in it. I bought balloons from the dollar store, 6 of them, in different colors. I blew them up in the kitchen while the kids were sleeping and tied them to her chair. When she came downstairs that morning and saw them, she stopped in the doorway. Her whole face changed. She looked at me and she said, "Mama, it's beautiful." I had to turn away so she wouldn't see me cry. That was enough. That was more than enough. His mother called me 6 months later. It was a Sunday evening. The kids were in the other room. She asked how I was doing, how the children were. Her voice was careful, almost cautious. I thought about everything I could say. All the things I'd rehearsed in the shower at 2 a.m. when I was too tired to sleep. I didn't say any of them. I just said, "We're doing well." And I meant it. Not because everything was perfect. It wasn't. We still had hard weeks. There were still nights I stared at the ceiling and counted what I owed and what I had and tried to make the numbers make sense. But I was still standing. My kids were fed and warm and in a home that no one could take from under us. I had built that with a mop and a night course and a borrowed yes and a lot of mornings I didn't want to get up, but got up anyway. No one saved us. We saved ourselves. And on the nights when Amara climbs into my lap and falls asleep with her cheek pressed against my shoulder, those nights, I don't feel broken anymore. I feel like exactly who I was always supposed to become.